Pour yourself a fresh cup of awakening with Coffee with Wally, the podcast that brews enlightening discussions with a grind of the past and future. Join host and seasoned broadcast journalist Wally Wood of the Wood News Group and co-host Andy Valudes, the marine marketer and master strategist from Marketing Dynamics, as they explore the past, present, and future. Dive into a world where technology and globalization intersect with prophecy. Each week, Coffee with Wally links ancient and recent history to tomorrow, making sense of today's rapid changes through the lens of Revelation 13. Don't miss any episode. Visit coffeewithwally.com and subscribe for your weekly espresso of insight. Coffee with Wally, a fresh cup of awakening, awaits you. Coffee with Wally, where understanding our times becomes clear over caffeine.
All right, we're back. My name is Andy Valudes. I'm your co-host of Coffee with Wally, here with your host, Wally Wood. Hey, Wally, how you doing today?
Good morning, everybody. And how are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing pretty good. Get ready for the weekend. We'll be honoring and remembering the Battle of Iwo Jima that happened 81 years ago, February 19th. And so we'll be doing this at the Houston National Cemetery. It is a Marine story, and we do have a Marine guest today, not from Iwo Jima, but from another battle. So, hey, go ahead and take it over, Wally.
Okay. Well, before I introduce his name, let me go into some of his bio. I've done some research on him, and I can't take a lot of time on his bio because it's a book in itself. But you can look him up online, and he's everywhere. But his name is Mark Geist, Geist. He's the best-selling co-author of the book 13 Hours, a security and military consultant, and credited with saving 25 people in the Battle of Benghazi from September 11th to September 12th, 2012. After serving 12 years in the United States Marine Corps, he went on to become a deputy sheriff, and he's been in law enforcement dealing with abused children. He's lived a life that exemplifies the Team Never Quit mission statement. And this is from their website about him, which says, quoting, TNQ embodies the heart of a warrior, men and women in all walks of life, who have faced incredible hardship, but have chosen not only to survive, but to learn from the experience and make themselves and those around them stronger for it. End of quote. He's also known as Oz, Mark Oz Geist. So, Mr. Oz, welcome to Coffee with Wally. And I want to ask you right off the bat, where did Oz come from?
It's a little bit, I'll kind of keep it to the shorter version, because when I was in the Marine Corps, I was back in 84 to 96, you didn't have personal call signs. The only people that had the personal call signs were like pilots. And so when I started contracting in 2003, into 2003, first to 2004, I got over to my first deployment. And the first thing they asked me when I got there was, what's your call sign? And I'm like, what do you mean? What's my call sign? They're like, yeah, what do we call you? I'm like, Mark. And they're like, no, you got to have a call sign. And I kind of knew what they were doing. I was born at night, just not last night. But they, because you typically earn your call sign, and you earn that by most of the time it's screwing something up. So, because like we had one guy that was named Crash, and that's because he'd been in 2 or 3 car crashes. Different things like that. And so they were like, well, you don't want us to figure that out for you. I'm like, well, you guys are paying me good, a lot more money than I've ever made before. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. So they ended up coming back about 4 days later, and they're like, yeah, okay, we're going to call you, your call sign's Polter. And I'm like, for poltergeist? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, it took you 4 days to figure that one out. And so while I was with that group, that's kind of the call sign I went by. And then finally, I got to another contract, and it got changed to Potter for a while. And then it was turned into, because somebody messed up on probably the way it looked when we wrote it. Instead of Polter, it was Potter. And then I got to another contract, and it was Wizard of Oz. And then the Wizard of Oz, somebody else had a name Wizard, so it ended up just coming down to Oz.
Wow. So how long did it take for you to come up with this new call sign?
So 2003 through 2004 to 2009, I think I was Polter. And then from there, I was on a couple different contracts. They weren't all real long. It depended until I got picked up with the last one, and that's where Oz kind of came about.
My, the man without a name. That-
Like I told him, hey, because we were making really good money then. I guess it just depends on what good money is when you're getting shot at. But
yeah.
it was more money than I've ever made in my life in a month. So again, you'd call me whatever you want. Just make sure the paycheck hits the bank when it's supposed to.
Bless your heart. Now, the story that you're known for, of course, is the war or the Battle of Benghazi. And I want to bring focus to that. I also want our audience to know that you are a believer, and you've been a believer the bulk of your life, especially through the military service. And at some point, whether it be now or in a follow-up program, I want you to hone in on how the role that God played with you directly in the things that you were called to be a part of, that it takes a special kind of person. I admire the bravery, the guts that you had at the time and that you still do, because you're out there speaking now, right? You're giving
Yes,
public
sir.
speeches. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're staying busy, and you're officially retired.
Yes, sir. I am retired from the military. I got 100% disability from the military, which didn't include any of my injuries from Benghazi. And then the injuries I had in Benghazi pretty much gave me 100% disability again.
Bless your
So
heart.
I
Okay.
always tell people I'm 200% disabled.
A man after my own heart. Uh, okay. Well, this is what you're known for, and I'm sure that this is what you speak about wherever you go to speak. Um, as quick as you can, a good, solid thumbnail sketch of your story. How did you end up in the Battle of Benghazi? And tell us the story behind that.
Yes, the easiest way. I started contracting in 2004, did a lot of different things. I've worked with a couple contracts. We were training Iraqi SWAT teams. I was a security advisor to one of the former prime ministers of Iraq, Dr. Ayad Alawi. But really where I wanted to go is I wanted to go with the CIA, and I finally got picked up by them in 2009 and worked with the CIA as a part of what they're called is global response staff. And our job is to basically protect America's spies as they work in some of the most dangerous parts of the world.
Okay.
And for me, there's some of I call them bird posts. Some of them are really easy. They're in dangerous places, but not as dangerous as the worst. And you can I call it bird post because you can kind of just fly right through. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I tried to avoid. I just felt compelled to go to the places that were going to challenge me the most. And that's how I ended up in Benghazi, Libya on September. I actually was there about 45 days on September 11th, 2012.
Okay. And again, this is the type of personality that intrigues me. What is it in you that drove you to look for the most challenging operations to be a part of?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I grew up farming and ranching in a small town in southeastern Colorado. I rode bulls, I rode barebacks, I broke horses.
Well, that does it right there. There's your card.
Yeah, it was just, it's always been there, I think. And, if it's difficult, it's like, I want to see if I can, if I can overcome it. And that's, I think, really from birth, that's where it was.
That is amazing. So take us back to Benghazi and that story. Now, at the end of this interview, we're going to play the trailer to the movie. So give us a build up to this.
Benghazi, I'll paint the town. It was, after the overthrow of Gaddafi, the majority of the citizens of Benghazi loved us. I mean, it was America that helped get rid of Gaddafi. In Libya itself, it was more of a tribal thing because you had Eastern Libya and Western Libya. Western Libya was the tribe that was loyal to Gaddafi. And the Eastern tribe, not that they weren't loyal, but they were disloyal to the point because Gaddafi kept trying to go after them at various times. And most of the oil in Libya was in the eastern part of the country as well. So when Gaddafi ended up getting killed, it was a great relief for those people in Benghazi and Derna and all of that. But at the same time, over the years, Gaddafi hadn't really paid attention as long as he was getting his oil out of Eastern Libya, but a lot of militias had moved in and were training out in the desert in and around Derna and Benghazi. They were training foreign fighters to go into Iraq and Afghanistan to kill Americans. And so there was always a Al-Qaeda or ISIS portion that was working in that area. So that's a lot of what we were doing there, was just kind of gathering as much intel as we could to provide the administration on how to do foreign policy. So that's kind of how Benghazi started. But if you look at it, the center of Benghazi is kind of like the half of a wagon wheel, and it's down at the port. And there was roads that went from the center of that, which would be the hub, and going straight out from that. And then every, I don't know, maybe every quarter mile, there was a street that was, we called them rings. It was first ring road, second ring road, third ring, fourth ring, fifth ring. So kind of give you an overhead of what the city looked like. The airport was furthest out, just like most of the time in big cities. And then the consulate was just in between fourth ring and fifth ring road. And fourth ring was it was right up next to fourth ring on the backside of that. We were in, and then there was the CIA annex, which was about a mile away as the crow flies, closer to the other side of fifth ring road.
Okay.
But from the rooftops of the annex, we could see the consulate that night, especially when it was burning in after they had attacked the initial attack on it.
Okay. And take us from there. How did y'all move in?
Well, that night I was out in town with a female case officer. We were out meeting a local couple that was out in town that was providing us with some information, and it was actually their daughter's birthday as well. So me and her had been out at that compound probably for about a couple hours when I got a phone call from Tyrone Woods, who was our team leader. And he called me on the phone and said, "Hey, you need to get back to the annex and stay away from the consulate." Because the shortest route would have been going right past the consulate. And I gathered up the female case officer, got her loaded up in our vehicle, and turned on our secure comms. And that's when I could really hear what was going on, because we had communication on that network with the State Department. And I heard the team leader from the State Department just talking about what was going on. You could hear the gunfire, you could hear the explosions from RPGs and belt-fed machine guns. And the team leader came over from the security team at the consulate and said, "If you don't get here now, we're all going to die." Now you can imagine with that stress level, there was a few expletives in there as well.
Of course.
And
right.
You really kind of knew something that it was really bad. And so we exited the compound we were at, and to get back, we had to drive west down the coast of the Mediterranean, come back in through the desert. It took us about 45 minutes to get back. And really, one of the first things that kind of happened that really, I would say the Lord intervened on was, as we're pulling up to this intersection where we had to take a right turn, 2 or 3 vehicles pulled up and blocked it off, and about 8 or 10 guys jumped out, a bunch with AKs, and started a roadblock. And that's typical, because anytime there's something going on, they just kind of the militias want to, they know we're out playing around. They just don't know where we're at.
Sure.
Well, and blessed for us, because this blonde hair, blue eyed guy with this light complexion is not going to blend in as a Libyan.
Yeah.
I do speak a little bit of Arabic, but the female case officer, she definitely could blend in, and she spoke 2 or 3 different dialects, but it still wasn't going to get me through that checkpoint. So I was getting ready for a gunfight in my mind that was going to happen, and kind of came to that realization there that, if I get into this gunfight, then there's 6 or 7 of them, and probably me as the only real gunfighter. It's going to be a rough go. So
these were not friendly forces.
What's that?
These were not friendly forces.
No, they were not.
Okay.
They were not. And as we pull up, there was a car in front of us, and as that car started pulling into that checkpoint, it didn't stop. It kept going. So when it did that, all the eyes of all those guys just looked at that car and started yelling, and pointing their guns at that car, which just gave me an out. I just going about 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, just turned and crossed over the corner. Instead of going all the way into it, I just crossed over the curb and just kind of took my turn and drove as inconspicuous as I could.
Yeah.
And so it was, I mean, the Lord got us through that one. Was able to go down, got back over to the annex. And when I got to the annex, that's when I took over security there, because the rest of the team at about 9:30, 9:40 had left the annex to go over and help the consulate. And what I found out later was when the team leader came over and said, if you don't get here now, we're all going to die. That was kind of the camel the straw that broke the camel's back on our team leaving the annex to go over.
Okay.
Because they had gotten told to stand down by our chief of base a couple times.
So these were the 25 lives that you were credited for saving?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And our team, there were 6 of us on our team, and the 5 of them had went over, and I took over security of the rest of I guess you'd say 22 people, 21 people that were there.
Yes. And so you tell this entire story with detail in the book.
Yep.
14 hours. And then it was translated into a movie. And the movie came out when?
early 2016. I think is when it was. We held the premiere at Dallas Stadium.
Did you?
Yeah, it was. They never really reported it, but it was the largest premiere in the United States at that time, because there's approximately 30,000 people that showed up to see the movie.
My.
At the premiere. The only one that was more than that was The Passion of Christ when it was shown in the Philippines.
Yes. I'm surprised to a degree that we've not heard any details of this in the media at the time. It seemed like it was all covered up or trickled out or something like this.
Yeah.
But you took this song by the horns, and you didn't hold back. You told the whole story that was never told. And I want to, first of all, commend you, and at the same time also thank the Lord that he crafted this chapter in your life, and you came out of this a stronger believer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And rather than a non-believer, because a lot of guys might go in as Christians and they come out hardened beyond faith, but you came out more convinced that had it not been for God, you wouldn't even be standing behind a podium to talk about these things.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, I was towards the end of the fight that morning, about 5 o'clock is when 3 81 millimeter mortars landed within about 17 feet of me.
Really?
And I was standing there, and then Ty and Glenn were on the other side of me to my left, and the mortars landed to my right. They had opened up, it was the last firefight. They'd opened up with belt-fed machine guns, RPGs, and then the mortars hit. And there was a couple more that hit, but they hit on the outside of the build, or not on the building. They hit on the wall and down on the ground. So I didn't really take shrapnel from them, but those 3, and to put it into context, is an 81 millimeter mortar has a kill radius of about 131 feet.
Wow.
Which means if you're within that 131 feet, you have about a 97% chance of dying.
Yes.
I was within 17 feet of 3 of them. The blast went through me, killed Ty on the other side of me. One of them killed Glenn as well. The second mortar is when Glenn got killed. But I took shrapnel from all 3 of them. Ended up with my arm about severed off, about 20. I think we ended up counting 25, 26 holes from all the shrapnel.
Wow. And mostly on your right side?
No, it was on all over. I mean, I got hit on the left side of my neck. I had shrapnel that was about 1 millimeter from my carotid artery. I had shrapnel that was about 1 millimeter from my femoral artery, or 2 millimeters from my femoral artery. I got a hole in my sternum in the center of my chest that's about a 1/2 inch deep. That shrapnel somehow went through. It didn't go through my body armor, but got in somehow, and but didn't go all the way through. So there was a lot of damage done.
Are you still to this day feeling some of the impact of that?
Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job putting my arm back together. I don't have much feeling in it,
Okay.
because one of the nerves 2 inches of the median nerve got severed, or got disintegrated actually, and so did 2 inches of the radial bone, and then the ulna was shattered. So I don't have a whole lot of feeling in it, but it
Well, of course,
works.
the question that would normally come to your mind, as it does to mine, how is it, why is it that God spared you and did not spare your two buddies to the other side of you, which they were a little further away from the martyrs than you were?
Yeah.
In the world has the Lord got for your life at this point? Do you have any understanding of that?
I think it goes back. I mean, a lot of it is for me. It's because a lot of guys are like, well, you'd have survivor's guilt, and I don't, because of my faith.
Yes.
Because the Lord said His will be done,
Yes.
and who am I to question what that is? I mean, like with Ty, and all of us had really young kids at the time. My daughter was 7 months old. He had a young boy that was he'd only seen once before then, and had only held his baby once before, and
Yeah.
and who am I to question? I mean, that impact of what happened to Ty and Glenn is, the Lord has a purpose for that,
Of course. Of course.
and whether that's to influence his son or his grandson or great
Right.
grandsons, who knows? And for me, it's just, why am I going to question that? Because I got
It's
to
not a
let
matter
His will be done.
Yeah, and it's not really a matter of questioning why, but it's more, okay, Lord, I've survived this, where the chances are higher that you're not going to survive. Uh, what do you want me to do? What do you have for me to do? This is a conversation you would have one
Yeah.
on one with your Heavenly Father.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and because to go on is, I mean, I had a tourniquet on my arm from 5 o'clock in the morning till probably 10:30 or 11 before I got to a hospital.
Oh,
And
really?
um, I got to the hospital. It was a Libyan doctors and at a Libyan hospital that probably saved my life the second time. Tig, one of my teammates, he was the one who got the tourniquet put on me. Um, but then on the plane from the military plane that picked us up in Tripoli and flew us to Germany, um, I died on that plane and had to be intubated and resuscitated.
Wow. 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 Well, I can see right now that we're going to have you come back, tell the rest of the story, like Paul Harvey, because I think that there's deeper meat here that today's believers need to hear and connect with.
Yeah.
Okay. And more often than not, in today's world, we need somebody like you who's been through hell and come through it, and to tell the story. How did you survive? I'm still to this day impressed that for the joy that was set before him while hanging on the cross, he endured the cross and despised the shame. He went through the hell it took for him to reach that joy. We're that joy. And so there's a more of a dynamic here that I really do want to follow up on in another program, if you're okay with that.
Oh,
Okay.
would love to. Would love to.
Andy, we're at 24, so go ahead and take this, and we're going to again leave the show with the trailer to the movie.
We didn't get to talk about the Shadow Warriors project and then the recent news with the mastermind that fomented the attack being captured a couple of weeks ago. You have a few seconds to talk about that? Talk about your ministry as well, your nonprofit?
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick. Because of what happened in Benghazi, I started a nonprofit called Shadow Warriors Project, and it's kind of threefold. We and everything we do with it is kind of in threes, because it's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. We introduce veterans to Christ. We use the dogs to teach them how to manage their anxiety and their stress, and then I make everyone tell their story, because telling my story has been really cathartic, and I think that's something that everybody has to come to terms with, what they've done and how they've done it. And I would have never thought Benghazi would have lasted this long, because everyone told me, you got about a year or two to make a living off of it, and and to share that story. Well, we're 13 years later, and we're still catching bad guys that have been a part of it, and I think that's just amazing that it's got the legs that it does, which tells me that it's all to the Lord for the purpose.
Amen. What's the website?
www.shadowwarriorsproject.org.
Say that again.
Shadowwarriorsproject.org.
Okay, and people can reach you there, and they
Yes,
can
they
also
can.
they can donate as well.
Yes, sir.
Mark, thank you so very much for joining us, and we're not going to lose you. We're going to get back to you real soon, brother.
Yeah, definitely. Love
Mr.
to.
Oz, Mr. Oz.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you.
You betcha.
And you too, Andy.
Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection.
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Everybody, this is Jack Silva.
Jack.
We train SEALs at Coronado, so he knows the drill.
Welcome to Club Man.
We need immediate assistance. We are overrun. State's under attack. Let's go, man. State's under attack. Let's go. We gotta move. If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
You have a U.S. ambassador at risk.
The ambassador is in his safe haven. You're not the first responders. You're the last resort. You will wait.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
I called fire support. Never came.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're in my world now.
We have 36 American lives to save.
All right, so you've been watching Coffee with Wally Web Extra, and we thank you for watching, where understanding our times becomes clear over caffeine.
The Mystery. Heaven's Secret Story by Wally Wood. Before time, before creation, there was a mystery. What really happened before Genesis chapter 1? Scripture hints at a story rarely taught, yet essential to understanding everything. Respected journalist and author Wally Wood uncovers heaven's secret story, revealing who we are, why we're here, and what was set in motion before the beginning. This is not speculation. This is revelation. Discover the mystery, heaven's secret story. Available now. The truth awaits. Visit themystery.now.site.
Order your copy today, available on Amazon.